Thank you for joining me today on the Who God Says podcast. I am your host and Kingdom Ambassador, Ty-Shaun-Dra. Hi, hi, hi. Today we have a special guest. Oh my God. He is an executive coach and the president of the RLB Training and Development. He is a great leader and boss, Mr. Ronald Reich. How are you?
Good, Ty-Shaun-Dra. I'm well, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Awesome. I'm so happy you could be on. Oh God. Um, we talked previously, and um, the way that you speak so passionately about helping other people and helping them building their businesses and relationships in business, it was amazing.
Oh, I appreciate that. And Ty-Shaun-Dra, it's true. It's just a huge part of who I am and what I am. And it's just I'm hardwired to help people, and I love helping people, and I love helping organizations get better.
That is awesome. How did you become an executive coach?
It's interesting because I'm going to go all the way back just real
Okay.
briefly because I started my career so many years ago in HR, and it was fine. It was fun. It wasn't something that I was just crazy passionate about.
Mhm.
Long story short, I was some friends of mine and I had opened an HR consulting firm, and for a number of different reasons, we decided to close the doors.
Yeah.
And I was going through a very difficult divorce at the time. I moved back in with my mom and dad because I had nowhere to go. And Ty-Shaun-Dra, out of nowhere, I got a telephone call from a recruiter in Dallas, Texas, who said to me, I have a job with Toshiba. It's the exact opposite of what you are. They're looking for somebody who has strong training and some HR. You've got a lot of HR and some training. I can get you an interview. You need to get them to flip their competencies.
Mm.
That happened, and I have not looked back. I've been in training and development for over 30 years now.
Wow.
And interestingly, though, because I do want to pick up on your comment or your actual question, how did I become an executive coach? The one thing that I realized one day, so when I was working for Toshiba, and I was doing a lot of sales training,
Mhm.
and one of the participants made a comment to me one day after the training, and she had been in the field for maybe a month after that, whatever it was. She
Mhm.
said, "Ron, the training was fine. That it just doesn't work in the field, though. It's just not applicable in the field." I was like, "Uh-oh, we need to do something about this if her comment is true." So I
Mhm.
started spending a lot of time with sales reps in the field. Not only was the material we were training them on applicable, I realized how critical coaching was. And
Yeah.
just being able to help them and say, it's like, wait a minute, at the end of a call, how well did you probe there? Do you really know what the client's needs are? And just all of these different things, and realizing that it made a huge difference, equally as important. And I say this proudly because I'm not good at everything.
Mhm.
This was something and is something at which I'm good, and I love doing it. So, I mean, that's an abbreviated version.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Oh my God, HR. Ooh, I know a lot of times people hear HR, they think it's like, oh, it's the boring stuff. It's all the paperwork, all the compliance and requirements. Oh my God. But HR is a critical part of the systems that's involved in business.
Yeah.
Um, so moving from Toshiba and being in training and development, how did you go to start RLB, that business?
This was interesting too, and I'm a believer uh, that everything happens for a reason.
Yes, God.
And I was working for a pharmaceutical company, and back on March 6th, 2003, I will never forget it. I and the entire training team got laid off.
Wow.
The company was reorganizing, the whole team got laid off, and I just sort of realized, like, you know what? I'm starting to get tired of this. It wasn't the first time I had been laid off, and I'd always kind of had it in the back of my mind. I wonder if I could go out on my own, and I wonder if I could, make a go of this. And I started it about 18 years ago, and again, it's been so much fun, Ty-Shaun-Dra, on so many different levels. It's evolved into so much more than I thought it would be, and it's just been an incredible blessing and a lot of fun.
That's awesome. What would you say are like your greatest strengths and weaknesses in business?
In business itself,
Hmm.
ugh, I mean, just overall, I think one of the biggest strengths that businesses have, and I'll make it even like for the executives and the people with whom I have worked, I think they care. I mean, I really, really do. I think for the most part, not everybody, and I understand that, of course.
Yeah.
For the most part, though, people care. People want to do the right things. And on the other side of that, they care and they want to do the right things, except I'm not convinced they know what the right things to do are, and
Mm.
particularly from a people perspective.
Yeah.
And as you and I talked the other day, you had said that we would talk about the challenges leaders have and so forth. And as I gave that some thought, there are a bunch of different ways I could go with that. One of the things, though, I think is that they lack coaching skills,
Mm.
is that they don't know how to coach their people effectively. And the problem with that, it starts to cascade, for me at least, because number one, I think my observation has been, my experience has been as well, that so many leaders think they need to have the answers.
Yeah.
And when an employee or a colleague comes to them, boss, we've got a problem. What should we do? This is the solution. This is what you should do. And come to me. I'm the answer man. And it's like, that's not smart. It's just not smart, because and a friend of mine, Chris, says this all the time. When leaders are doing that, they are working in their business, not on their business.
Yes.
And if they would coach more, I think their colleagues can come up with these answers on their own, and allowing the leaders to spend more time on the big picture, to spend more time on where do they take the business instead of the day to day nuances.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And that comes with hiring effectively. Like you have to have the right people in
That's right.
place. And then
That
once
is
you
that.
put those people in place, you have to let them do the job that you hired them for. Yeah.
Oh, Ty-Shaun-Dra, truer words have never been spoken. And it's just so true. And I mean, two quotes just pop into my head. I'm a big believer in Stephen Covey's work in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm very blessed to be certified to facilitate that. Stephen was interviewed many years ago, and whoever was interviewing asked him, "What do you think is the most important function a leader has?" And Stephen said, hiring well.
Mm.
That's the most important thing a leader does. He or she needs to hire well, get the right people in the right seats. And when you do that, and this is part of the second quote, which comes from, and God, I'm going to forget his name, Jim Collins, who wrote Good to Great. Jim also, was asked a question like that, and his response was, absolutely, hiring is one of the most important things any leader does,
Yeah.
because when you hire well, the problems of motivating those individuals essentially go away. You don't have to worry about that. And when you have the right people, you can trust them to do what they need to do,
Yeah.
allowing you again to spend time at a higher level, not worrying about the day to day things.
Yes. Yes. That is absolutely true. Now, how do you hire effectively? What are some of the things that that I as a leader should be looking for in people that I want to hire in those leadership roles? What are
I
the key
think I
traits?
think one of the most important things, and it's very simple, and sadly, it's been my experience that a lot of people don't take the time to dig into this as deeply as they should. You've got to know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. What are you looking for in this position? Not even this person, this position. What are the competencies we need to, so that whoever we hire will succeed? And
Mhm.
I mean, once you've done that, then we get into, and I am a believer, and there are different schools of thought on this. I am a believer in asking reality based questions.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that simply, if I'm interviewing you, Ty-Shaun-Dra, and I'm interviewing you for a training manager's position, reality based questions. Tell me about a time when you had, what was one of the biggest challenges you have faced as a training manager in the past? Tell me a
Mm.
story about that. What was the situation? How did you handle it? How did things turn out? Tell me about a time, Ty-Shaun-Dra, when you made a bad decision. What happened? What did you do about it? How did it turn out? Give me an example of everything is reality based.
Yeah.
And the reason for that simply is that forces the applicant to talk about his or her direct experience instead of what would you do if.
Right.
People can answer however they want, and it's not necessarily how they are. So
Hmm.
those are some quick tips relative to interviewing.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, because we all see those "what would you do if" questions, and it's like, okay, now I have to make up this scenario in my head and
Right.
figure out the best answer that I think
That's
you
right.
want for that question.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yep. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Hi everyone! Join the Kingdom Fanatics community. Get exclusive content, green room access with our guests, and more. Visit our website at whogodsays.com. Like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate your love and support. To find all information on joining our community, being a guest on the show, donating on our PayPal donation page, and more, visit us at whogodsays.com. Now back to the show.
But telling me about your experiences and how you handle things. Now you can say some people might say, "Oh, I think they may want me to answer this like this," but it also plays a part is in if that person is willing to be authentic and honest about who they are,
Exactly.
what they've done, what they can do. Yep.
And see that goes back to as well that it's so important that both sides, that the interviewer and the interviewee, be honest with each other.
Hmm.
Because if you're interviewing me and I desperately want this job, I'm probably going to tell you just about anything you want to hear, which is not good for either one of us.
Right.
Because if the job is not good for me, it's not going to work out for either one of us. We both lose.
That's right. That is absolutely right. Absolutely right. Oh my gosh. When you are looking for a leader to put in these positions, do you pay attention to anything outside of business or professional life? Does their personal anything personal matters when you're putting that person in that
Yeah,
leadership role?
yeah. I am a believer in that. In that, people need to be their authentic selves
Hmm.
at home and at work.
Hmm.
And I mean, do I act differently at work than I do at home? A little bit, a little bit. And again, I'm not going to say, oh, never, never. No, I might a little bit. My point is, though, it is so important for someone to be consistent and genuine throughout their lives.
Yeah.
And one of the things too, Ty-Shaun-Dra, that's very important with this, I always look for somebody who has balance in their personal and work life. You know, I said, I am not impressed, and please, I speak for myself. When I hear leaders, managers, or and someone at any level, oh, I work 65 hours a week every week because the more I work, the more successful I'll be. And it was like, not for me.
Mm.
Not for me, because I'll tell you right now, and again, speaking for myself, I get tired, I get kind of fuzzy, I stop, I'm not as productive as I can
Oh,
be.
yes.
My relationships at home start to get impacted. And again, everybody loses.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up because there are so many people who think I'm gonna just work, 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 work. But at some point, like you said, you become unproductive. You're not there. You're just busying yourself.
That's
And then
right.
everything else gets affected. Your home life get affected. And then once your home life is affected, your work life get affected because it's affected by your home life. So yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. Oh my
Right.
God, yes.
Ty-Shaun-Dra, my late father was one of the most intelligent. Actually, and I actually said that when I gave the eulogy at his funeral. I started off by saying, Dad was one of the most, and I caught myself, and I'm catching myself here. He wasn't one of the most intelligent people I ever knew. He was the most intelligent man I ever knew. He
Yeah.
was a top executive. One day, one of his direct reports was telling him, Fred, I work long hours and I work very, very hard and I do all of these different things. And I'm very, very dedicated to this job and this organization. And my dad said to him, You're not very good at what you do, are you? And the guy's looking at him, What do you mean? What do you mean? How can you say that to me? He said, You should be able to get your job done in 8 hours. And I never forgot that. Now, again, are there going to be times when it's necessary to put in extra time? Come on,
Right.
of course. And I'm glad to do that. And I expect people to do that on occasion, not all the time, because
Right.
that's where burnout occurs. And again, we all lose.
Right. Right. You have to think about it from all aspects. Like you said, balance. You want to be balanced in your professional life and your personal life. Your life affects your life. So whether you're at home, whether you're at work,
That's
whether
right.
you're on vacation, whether you're married or not, your life affects your life. So that
I
balance
like
is very important.
that. I've never heard that before. I like that.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. So if for someone like me, because I have my hands in multiple things. Um, how do you manage your time well? Like, how do you know that you're using your time effectively?
I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to Stephen Covey's Habit 3, which is put first things first. And the habit is all about how do you use your time. And essentially, there's a video within the course itself called Big Rocks.
Hmm.
And what the main takeaway of the video is that you've got to, if you want to be most effective, do the most important things first. Do the most important things first. And this is where the balance of your life comes in. And what his recommendation is and what the course recommendation is, and I do support this fully, is from a holistic perspective. What do I want to accomplish this week in both my personal life and my professional life? Then what you do is you schedule your big rocks for that week and they get
Mm.
on your calendar right away. Or maybe even, 2 weeks out, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Okay. For example. Okay. I'm looking at my calendar. I'm trying to see if there's any examples that could come up. Actually, my nephew got married on Saturday.
Oh,
Okay.
newlywed.
Rehearsal dinner was the 8th,
Mm-hmm.
Friday the 8th. Clients asked me, maybe a month ago, whatever it is, hey, can you work with us on this day? No, no. It's on my calendar. There's a big X through it. That's the day of Mark's rehearsal dinner. I'm not gonna work with a client that day, because if I do,
Right.
if something goes haywire, if there's traffic going home, if there's a problem, whatever it might be, I don't want to get caught in that. And I also want to be fully present
Yeah.
for him and just everybody else who's going to be there. Equally as important now, though, with that said, when I schedule these big rocks, I need to let the appropriate people know in my life what's happening. That includes, my boss. That includes maybe my direct reports. Maybe that includes my wife. In that, hey, Lori, and I'm just taking this out of the air. You need to know I've got a dinner Tuesday night. I will not be home until late. So, just, don't
Yeah.
expect me. I'm not going to spring that on her day of. And, just those sorts of things is get the most important things done first, those big rocks. The little rocks, they'll take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And I believe that. And I believe that. And more importantly than believing it, it's been my direct experience.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so you have business, ministry, family, career. You have your hands in multiple things as well. So you manage with your big rocks. I like that.
Yep.
But also, how does everything overlap, especially with your spirituality? How does everything overlap?
This for me, it goes to again what we were talking about earlier, and that I try to bring my authentic self
Hmm.
to work along with, well, yeah, just I try to bring my authentic self to work, and I bring my spirituality to work. And I mean, I'm fond of slogans and phrases and just those sorts of things. And I will say to people all the time, to clients, to participants, to coaching clients, whatever, is that we're looking for perfection. I'm sorry. No, no, no. God, no. God, no. We're looking for progress,
Yeah.
not perfection. And just a day at a time, we will make progress here. And I mean, just those sorts of things, and letting people know that, yeah, I really try to practice what I preach,
Mhm.
both again at work and at home. And with the overlap there, I told you this story when we had our pre-call. I was so I was so happy, and because it meant so much to me. A number of years ago, I did a 2-day leadership class for Sanofi Aventis, the pharmaceutical company. We wrapped up, the class is over, everybody is saying goodbye and everything else. One of the participants came up to me, shook my hand. Ron, thank you so much. I got so much out of this. I was like, great, I'm so glad. Yeah, Andrew, whatever his name was. And he leaned into me and he said quietly, it was something else too. And I had an idea of where he was going with his comment. And I said, okay, Andrew, what do you mean? He leaned into me and he just said quietly and softly, it was 2 days of wonderful marriage counseling. And we
Wow.
both chuckled. And it's true, though. I mean, it really, really is, because there's an overlap with leadership development training and your personal life,
Yeah.
because the skills, the competencies are applicable anywhere,
Yep.
just anywhere. How do giving good feedback, praise and recognition, listening effectively, creating psychological safety,
Hmm.
coaching,
Yep.
helping people through issues. just all of these different things. It's all applicable.
Yes. That is amazing. I'm glad you pointed that out because a lot of people wouldn't catch it. They like to compartmentalize and put, hey, I'm at work. This is
Right.
only applicable to work. When I get home, whatever I have to deal with at home is what I have to deal with at home. But
Right.
if you take those things and you take the holistic approach to it and say, hey, in and out, this is me. And yes, if I want to be an effective communicator and leader at work, and these are
Right.
the things that we do at work, let's apply this at home. I can apply this with my wife. I can apply this with my children. I can apply this at church. I can apply it when I'm being taught something and I feel like the person who's teaching is incompetent. Let's listen,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I consider my wife to be just an absolutely brilliant. I really do. I think I'm reasonably intelligent. She's brilliant.
Oh,
She really is. And we've been married now for a little over 23 years. On
oh,
our fifth wedding
congratulations.
anniversary, I still remember we went out to dinner, and I had no intention of asking her this question. It just popped into my head while we were eating. And I was like, Lori, what's the best part of being married? And she thought about it, and she's like, well, that you love me, that you support me, you're there for me, and whatever she said.
Yeah.
Ron, how about for you? And again, I hadn't given this an iota of thought. And I thought about it, and I said to her, I was like, Lori, I think it's because I can be myself.
Mm.
I don't have to be careful about what I say or what's going on. I'm not on eggshells, whatever it is. And her comment to me was, and this is my point, oh, I get it. It's the me within the we.
Oh.
And I was like, that's really good. And it's true. Personally, it's the me within the we.
Yeah.
Professionally, it's the me within the we, because there are all kinds of us involved in the work.
Oh,
And,
yes.
I hope we can be ourselves and be most effective and help each other and support each other.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. And there's so many different personalities and desires and mindsets.
Right.
How do you make the right decisions for like business and your ministry and your family when you're dealing with these different types of people?
Business wise, I am a huge believer, supporter. An organization needs to have a very strong mission statement.
Mm.
And when decisions need to be made, the mission statement is the guiding light. This is the, is this in line with who we are, and what we stand for?
Awesome.
And interestingly, a number of years ago, I know a guy, Dave, who runs a for-profit hospice facility.
Mhm.
And we were talking one day, and he said, "Yeah," he said, "my, really struggling. The business is up and down, and so forth. And there's some things happening." I said, "Dave, let me ask you something. Does the facility have a mission statement?" "No, we don't." "Do you find yourself making inconsistent decisions?"
Mm.
"Yes, all the time." I said, "Okay. When you have a major decision to make, on what do you base it? What is your guiding light?"
Right.
And his answer was, "Oh, how things are going at that given time."
Mm.
And I was like, "Yeah, no wonder you're making inconsistent decisions. No wonder you have a lot of turnover and you have a
Yeah.
lot of angst on your staff, because there's no guiding light. There needs to be a guiding light." And going back, Sandra, sorry,
Mhm.
in habit two, within again the seven habits, is all about developing and writing your own personal mission statement.
Yeah.
Who are you? What are you? And when I have a major personal decision to make, does this fit into, or how, based on what I want to accomplish in my life and within my mission statement, what's the best decision I can make?
I like that. I like that. Yeah. it definitely helps with a lot of things, especially when you think you're at a point where you need to change things in your business or add something or hey, let's try to
Exactly
offer
right.
this. Yes, let's go back to the mission statement. Are these things in line
That's right.
with the vision and how we see this company coming?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
See, and that's where again, let's go back to what we were talking about right in the beginning, because for me, there's a big connection with leaders being able to spend time. I always put my hand up here because I like the analogy of a balcony view, is
Yeah.
that leaders need to spend time in a metaphorical balcony looking down at their business, what's happening, what's going on from a big picture perspective.
Yes.
And, should we expand? Should we grow? Do we need to add staff? Are we ready? And again, the big picture perspective allows them to do that. They have to have the right people in place in order to be able to spend enough time in the balcony to consider these things.
Right. I like that. In the balcony. Yes, I like that. Because I always say, um, when I'm boots on the ground, I can see to the corner.
That's right. That's
So
exactly right. Yes. Yes.
when your boots on the ground, you can see to the corner.
Right. That's right. And yet it's also important too, because I don't want to give the impression, oh, the leaders should never be, on the floor, or they never should be quote unquote in the weeds. Absolutely it should be. Absolutely. It
Right.
needs to be, and let's go back to that same word. There needs to be a balance between spending time with your colleagues directly and being in the balcony looking at the big picture.
Right. Right. Exactly. Oh my God. Whew, I like that. I'm gonna just add to my analogy now. When I'm boots on the ground, I can see to the corner, but when I'm in the balcony, I have a big picture view.
See the
Hmm.
big picture, see the whole picture.
Right. You can look over the landscape. You have a view. Nobody goes to the kitchen window to see the view. They go upstairs. They go on the rooftop. They
That's
go,
right.
yeah, I like that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, how do you get your team or your organization and even sometimes your family um, to come together and like see the vision that you're seeing and not compete with each other, like work together on the vision? How do you get people to come together to work together on the vision?
For me, I think one of the most important things, once the vision is established organizationally, we can do it family wise too, whatever. It needs to become a fabric, an everyday thing. It
Mm,
needs to be an everyday thing. And you need to be talking about it all the time, bringing it up on a daily basis in meetings, in conversations, and just remember, guys, remember, this is who we are. This is what we are. And as
mm,
we make this decision, because when you're talking about it every single day, it just becomes a fabric, either of the organization or of the family structure, whatever it might be. And that way, people are just used to living it.
yeah.
More along the lines now. Let's go down the business path.
Mhm.
And I had this conversation with some senior leaders just a couple of months ago because I was helping the organization to indeed build a vision and a culture statement and values and that. And I said to them, I was like, gentlemen, you need to be aware that not everybody in this company it will buy into this. You're going
Yeah.
to lose some people. And they were like, yeah, we know. And it did happen, and that's okay. It's going to happen. And the
Yes.
company needs to be ready for that. So I don't like this. I like the way things were. And I was like, well, things are changing. And that you cannot change.
Yep.
And it becomes your choice whether or not you want to come along for the ride or not.
Yes. I like that. As soon as you said it, like say it every day, and people start to understand. If you're starting a business, you still need to speak that vision and keep
Oh,
speaking it.
absolutely.
Yeah, because you'll have people that you you hire and you bring
Sure,
on, and then they'll slowly start to show you, now I'm really not a part of this vision. I
that's
just
right.
wanted to check,
That's
you know.
exactly right.
Yeah,
It's also part of what kind of clients do I want to work with?
yeah,
What kind of vendors do I want to work with? All of these different things. Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes. That is amazing. When I think that if people can really center their business around a vision and hold other people accountable, hold yourself accountable, hold
That's
your
right.
leaders accountable,
That's
you
exactly
know,
right.
to bringing that vision into fruition. Like you said, constantly saying it, constantly speaking it out, and people start to get comfortable in that atmosphere. You'll either see they get uncomfortable and this is not for them,
Right.
or
That's right.
you'll see that, hey, these are some team players. These are the ones who's going to come along for the ride and they're going to make this vision happen. I
That's right.
think that's absolutely amazing. Yep. Yep.
And
Create that atmosphere.
this is also where psychological safety comes into play. Because
Hmm.
once you have the vision in place and it is a part of the fabric, people are going to be comfortable speaking up.
Yeah.
People are going to be comfortable challenging the leaders, and that's a good thing. I mean,
That's a good
challenging in
thing.
a good way, where it's like, I don't think we're ready to launch this product. I
Hmm.
don't think we have the funding for this. I don't think we can expand right now. Whatever it might be. And
Right.
those are the kinds of conversations that need to take place, not, Ron, what do you think? Oh, boss, I think what you think.
Yes. Yes.
That's like, not good.
Yes, I'm so glad you said it. Yes. I don't want a yes man on my staff. I don't want a yes man in my relationships. I don't want it. I don't want it. I want you to have a brain and I want you to use that brain.
That's right.
Um, you may see things differently than I see them. There might be something I'm missing.
That's
And if
it.
I'm missing that and you're scared to speak up and say, well, hey, maybe we should approach this situation this way, or maybe we should advertise here, or maybe I want that. We cannot do things alone. We are not meant to walk this earth alone. We are
That's,
not meant to do anything alone. Everything that we do, we have to do within our community, whatever type of community you build.
that's right.
And I don't want to be the mayor of the community and then the constituents is not telling me what their need is.
That's right.
That's crazy. I'm
That's
glad
right.
you brought that up. So glad.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. It's amazing. Um, I work for Intuit and at Intuit, the atmosphere there is so amazing. I haven't This was the first company I worked for where um the people, even though we're all in different states, we're all across we're all across the world really, because Intuit is really, really international. But that's the first company I've been a part of where the community and the environment is just like you're next door with your neighbor. It's like
Mhm.
even though we're all over the earth, it's like the relationship there, that community that's built there. It's like I can go knock next door and borrow some sugar. It's like that. And I'm like, when I came to Intuit, I was like, this is how I want my business to run.
Right.
People are actually happy to come to work. People are happy to give feedback. Like we have surveys in our email maybe 3, 4 times a month. And I have never been in a place where I'm just gonna continue filling out surveys. Usually I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get to it or whatever. But
Right. Right.
I feel like the company actually values us as people. They value
Mhm.
our opinions. And there's so much change that happens at Intuit. We call it just go with the flow. Um,
Yeah.
and I would say every couple of months there's a new strategy that's being implemented, and they always have a pilot program going on because they want to know how will it work for the majority. How it sounds like a good idea. Let's get some of our workers and put them on a beta program and see how that works. We do it all the time,
Mhm.
and I love it because
Right.
now they understand we're the people that's running the business.
Thank you.
We-
See, and Ty-Shaun-Dra, there it is again, because The leaders need to depend upon the people who are doing the actual work.
Yes.
You
Yep.
know, I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
What more can you say?
Yeah. I'm like, we the people that run the business. Let's go. Okay. I want to ask you, what is the simplest thing that someone can do to keep their team motivated? What is one simple thing that can just keep everybody going?
You know what? I think, Ty-Shaun-Dra, it's to keep asking them regularly, what's important to you?
Mm,
What is important to you? And things change over time. And that's the reason I say keep asking, keep asking.
yeah.
For me, what was so important to me 30 years ago, 31 years ago, when I first got into training and development, I needed the validation. I needed to hear from people. Ron, good job. Ron, I got so much out of this. Wow, Ron, it was a lot of fun. I needed that. And I mean, I'm not saying I don't now. It's still important to me and I
Right.
enjoy it. And I say this proudly, and I hope it comes across that way. When I do a session now, I know it's going to go well. I
Yeah.
just do. I prepare well. I understand the material, so I know it's going to go well. So I don't need as much validation. What's important to me now is if you want me to get involved in any discussions about your business, is there, what can we do to talk about developing future leaders? And, 31 years ago, I had no clue how to have that kind of conversation. Now
Right.
that motivates me much more than, Ron, good job. I was like, thank you, I appreciate it, except there's even more. Or there are other things that are more important to me now. So I think it's just staying in touch and
Yeah.
just, what's important to you? What's motivating you now? How can I give you, what kind of recognition is important to you at this time?
Right. That's good. That is good. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Recognition is always a good thing. Not to say everybody wants to be prideful or egotistical, but they do want to know that the job that they're doing is appreciated.
That's
You
right.
know, they're appreciated. I like that. That is simple. I don't think a lot of people think about it. Hey, just saying thank you. Thank you. That was a great job. Thank you for that thought. Thank you for your input. That appreciation goes a long way. Yeah, I like that.
I am. I'm having knee replacement surgery next week, and I've been talking to the office manager at the surgeon's office. Not all the time. I mean, I've had some questions for her, and then just just some administrative things.
Hmm.
She has been absolutely wonderful. And when I talked to her the other day, her name's Jessica, and I was like, Jess, you know what? She's like, what? Just want to let you know I appreciate so much
Yeah.
how you have helped me. You've been kind, you've been responsive, and just everything else. And you could hear it in her tone of voice. She's like, Ron, thank you. That means so much to me.
Yep.
And I was like, well, number one, you're welcome. And number two, it took me all of 8 seconds to say that to you.
Right.
And it came from a good place. And now our relationship is strengthened. Everybody wins.
Yep. Yep. I love it. Appreciation goes a long way. Kindness is the one thing that costs you nothing but has such a high value.
That's right. The ROI on that is huge.
Yep. Well, tell us about RLB and how you're working with your clients and where we can reach you.
Well, I mean, Ty-Shaun-Dra, I work with all different kinds of organizations, all different types of industries. My sweet spot tends to be the smaller to mid-size organizations. We were talking before about HR.
Mhm.
My experience, most of the companies where I work have very small HR departments or no HR at all. And finance will take care of the HR stuff. It's those types of organizations that typically, in my experience, are the ones that really can use the help or can use the skills that I bring to the table. again, developing a mission, developing a culture, helping to identify and train future leaders, management development, and working with the individual contributors. The best way to get a hold of me and to learn more about me simply is through LinkedIn. Just my name, Ron Reich, Reich, RLB Training and Development. Take a look, and I mean it too. That anybody that just wants to have a chat, please just message me and I'll talk to you. I will gladly talk to you. It's not going to be a sales pitch. It's not going to be, oh, we have to work together. No, let's talk about things. And if there's a match there for us, kind of like the interviewing, what we were saying earlier,
Yep.
yeah, let's try. And if there's not a match or there's nothing there for us, so be it. That's okay. At least we've had a conversation about it.
Yep. That's amazing. I like it. Okay, I'll have all your links below the video in the description. I do want to thank you so much for your time and your expertise, and thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Who God Says podcast with your host and Kingdom Ambassador, Ty-Shaun-Dra. Go to whogodsays.com to join the mailing list for episode premieres, upcoming guests, and more. Send in your questions to be a part of the show at whogodsays@gmail.com. And don't forget, join the Kingdom Fanatic community. Until next time, be blessed and also be a blessing.